When opportunity knocks, are you supposed to take it? Even if it may or may not be the exact opportunity that you're thinking about or direction that you think your life should go down? Another one of those vlogs that I've had rattling around in my head. Thought I would share it with you. And yeah, welcome to our vlog. So, here we go. Well, last summer I had a opportunity kind of half present itself. It wasn't official, it was just mentioned in passing to say, hey, in a few months this is going to happen, or hey, if this happened, would you be interested? And I kind of took it in and kind of stored it on the back burner and kind of filed it away as like, whatever, right? Well, 6 months later or so, the ad pops up. There is a house available in a small town. A very, very small town. Probably a small town that's under 10,000 people in it. This town doesn't have a Walmart and probably never ever will. There's a small grocery store, a small health center, a Subway, an A&W, a library, a home hardware, some other small things like that. It's hour and a half from the nearest town that has any type of larger grocery stores, and about 3 hours from my hometown here, where my doctor is and family is and my bank is and things like that. Now, this house is only about 15 or so years old, according to the write-up and everything. I don't know the history of the house. I don't know if it's a printing error, if it's an error, if it's actually like, 105 years old kind of a thing, or if it's just a few years old. The price is very, very reasonable, well under $100,000. 1,100 square feet, and pretty much everything on one level. No garage in the backyard, but it's a pretty decent sized yard. I believe it's even on a corner lot, so there is ample parking on both sides of the house. However, with a corner lot comes more sidewalk to shovel. I have an interest in that property, in that house. I miss having my own piece of dirt, something to call my own, something to build, something to fix, a place to have a garage with my tools, a place to call my own, right? And renting is okay and all, to be comfortable in your bubble, paying out, $900, $1,000 soon to be rent or whatever for a little 700 square foot cubicle kind of a thing. But eventually a change has to be made. Eventually you need to step out of your comfort zone and put yourself back out there, regardless of how it turns out. Regardless of if you fail again, regardless of how bad your past experiences were, you have to try again. And living in a small town, like an extremely small town, may not be a good thing. Some small towns, or at least some of the people I've had contact with in these small towns, know everybody else's business, know what's going on with so-and-so who's having a fight, or so-and-so is having a divorce because, whatever had an affair, or whose kid is the town troublemaker, or, well, did you look at so-and-so, they bought a new vehicle. Well, when you live in a big enough of a town, it doesn't really matter who's a whatever and who's got this and who bought a new vehicle, because the town's big enough that even though we see our neighbor on the doorstep once in a while, we have no idea who their name is. We have no idea who their kids are. We have no idea when they're coming and going, or the moving van on their front lawn, is it emptying out their house because they're moving, or is it they're stealing all their furniture because they're away on vacation? Sometimes small towns can be rather intrusive, where they're all up in your business if you happen to drag home an old truck that you're in the process of fixing up for the last 30 years. Sometimes small towns can be expensive because you have to drive everywhere for groceries, drive everywhere for a real doctor, drive back into a real town or city for appointments. Recently, a family member of mine was sick, and he was transferred to went to the local health center, and they couldn't deal with him at the health center. So then he was transferred to the city, which would be about 2.5 or so hours away from where he lives. And then he was transferred again to a really larger city, which was like 5 and some hours away. Well, if it had been a large enough of a area with a decent enough of a hospital, he would have been in his home area and his family could have visited him. That's the downsides, or some of the downsides, of a small town. Recently there has been, I know this is a bit off subject, but a really, really small town, almost like a village or a gathering of 100 houses or so, going through a little bit of distress in Saskatchewan. From what I gather, they've lost their water, they've lost their sewer. The RM has raised taxes and charged fees, and it sounds like they're basically trying to push everybody out so they can condemn, bulldoze, and abandon the town. And it has happened before in other towns, other areas, where they lose the water, they lose the well, they lose the sewage, people move away. There's not enough tax base, there's not enough people left to pay for the services. When your town is small enough, there isn't a fire department, so your insurance rates are higher because this fire department has to come from 40 minutes or more away if there's a fire. Sometimes there is a small local water type fire truck, but it doesn't have the response time, nor the staff, nor the water capacity to adequately fight a structure fire. Like I said, you end up paying more living in these small towns. For a guy like me, who doesn't really require access to a job, access to a grocery store except for once a month, the doctor may become more in need in the future. I could live in a smaller town as long as I could handle the isolation, as long as I could handle not knowing anybody, as long as I could handle the pettiness or smallness of the people that live in these, from what I've been told anyway, that can live in these small towns. Essentially, you build a good 12-foot tall fence with razor wire on the top, and you keep your nose out of your business, your neighbor's business, and hopefully your neighbor keeps their nose out of your business, and everything works out fine. Like I said, sometimes we get complacent in our lives. Sometimes we get comfortable in our little bubbles, just doing our 9-to-5 jobs, driving the same way to work as we do coming home from work, eating the same food all the time, going to the same places all the time, and that works for a while, but it really makes for a boring, stale life after a bit. Sometimes you need to step out of your bubble. Sometimes you need to step out of your comfort zone, go somewhere else, hang around with different people, revitalize your life, put some more excitement back into your life, try something new to bring the joy back. Laugh a little, not take life so seriously. Not be afraid to have change. Not be afraid to fail again. If nothing is ventured, nothing can be lost. But at the same time, nothing can be gained as well. Just a few thoughts that I got bouncing around my head. Thought I'd put them on the old camera here and see how she goes. As always, thanks for watching Maxwell's Vlogs. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.